Alright, what is up everybody? Coming back at you with another video on the channel today. And we have got another hot new release to take a look at. This latest offering from Brian Nadeau of Sharp by Design is the Mini Evo Typhoon. So this isn't necessarily a new model, it's just a new size of the same model. So there was the original Evo Typhoon, which was like a full-size 8.5 inch knife. He then did the Micro Evo Typhoon, which was like a 6.5 to 7 inch knife. This is now the Mini Evo Typhoon, so kind of right in the middle of that at 7.5. It's a decent size, but we'll get into that. Let's go ahead and see. Let's take a look at the knife and then we will talk about it. So this variation is the purple haze carbon fiber with a hand satin blade. And I've got to say, guys, this thing is gorgeous. So with the fat carbon offerings, you got this purple haze or nebula, which is kind of like red, white, and blue in a crazy pattern. I like both, but I like this one a little more. Plus, it matches my Apex. But, excuse me. No, when these originally released about a month ago, you could get regular carbon fiber, or there was an olive green micarta. The regular carbon fiber looked decent. I didn't like the olive green micarta at all. Not a big micarta guy. Don't hate it, just didn't love that green. But there was also two blade shapes. You had a regular drop point, which he's known to do this. You can see the two blade shapes from the previous release here, which obviously I've got two Apexes. Drop point, then a compound ground Tonto. Same thing on this release. You had a drop point, and then you had this absolutely stunning hollow ground, compound ground, Tonto harpoon. Threw some poon in there, and that always makes it better. This blade is probably one of the most gorgeous blades I own, maybe have even ever seen. I love a harpoon blade, like Hinder's Harpoon Sponto, one of my favorite blade shapes. Very hard to get. But this thing, obviously you've got the compound hollow with the flat grind that makes it the compound. And then with that harpoon, oh man, let's check out the action. Now this is only a few hours old, and already, guys, that action. But anyways, back to what I was saying. He came out with the micarta and the regular carbon fiber. Well, the harpoon carbon fiber model sold out on DOT. They sold out almost instantly. So I didn't get one of those. I was kind of on the fence because I'm not really a flipper only fan. I do love the look of this flipper tab though. This crazy looking flipper, and then obviously when it flips around, it makes a good blade guard there. Kind of did us dirty, in my opinion. He released the not so popular models first, kind of sold them out, got rid of them, and then a month later, the fat carbons come in. So, you know, and if you release them all at once, obviously the fat carbons are going to sell out, and the other models aren't going to do near as good. So maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't. I do kind of feel bad for people that hopped on. Maybe you got a harpoon blade with the olive micarta just to get one, and then, you know, a month later the fat carbon drops, and I guess there's a lot of fat carbons. Normally, like the Apexes, there's still versions of the Apex available to this day. So normally he gets a lot of them, which the Apex wasn't as popular. I personally love the Apex, but that's a different story. So yeah, these are available on multiple websites. I think they're still even available on DOT. So there's obviously a lot of these fat carbon ones. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about this knife. What is this? This M390? I believe it's M390 blade steel. Let me see here. He's not good at How do I not know this? Wow. Almost positive it's M390. It's either M390 or S90. I should know that, guys. Sorry, it's been a long day. Obviously, titanium frame lock design with his, kind of overlay style that he does here. Now, I had a mini Tempest, and I ended up selling that knife, and I do kind of regret that now. I had the gold dark matter carbon fiber with the Bowie blade front flipper, and I kind of missed that knife. And this knife is very similar in overall size. The Mini Tempest is a little bigger if you have one for comparison's sake. Now, compared to the Apex is going to be just a little bit bigger here overall, about a 1/2 inch bigger. The Apex is an 8-inch knife. Now, as far as the ergonomics in comparison, you do get a little bit more room on the Apex. Now, a big complaint on the Apex was this pocket clip, and you had to put it back here because of the hole design. Also, it was very sharp on the tip. As you can see, I've modified this one. I've actually modified both of these to get rid of that sharpness on the tip there, and they're quite comfortable now. He did very good on this clip, guys. If you're worried about the clip being a hot spot, not whatsoever. He heard us, and he fixed that problem. Lefty, my fingers don't really come up on it. Now, I have big XL ham hands. I can get a 4-finger grip on this knife quite comfortably. And that's one thing I was worried about in getting this knife. One thing I will say with the jimping on the top here, this is one of the very few knives with the jimping right here that my thumb actually naturally lands on it. Really, I could come up all the way to the harpoon, where it's a smaller knife, to do some precision cutting. Absolutely love the hand satin on this blade. Compare it to a belt satin on the Apex here. I think it's 3¼ inch blade, 7.5 inches overall. I love the purple haze fat carbon inlay here, and the overall fit and finish on these knives from Riot is just absolutely outstanding. Got the lanyard pin back here, which he actually did not do on the Apex, which I don't think anybody missed, but he did put one here, and with his seamless design, it almost looks like an integral, but there's just the tiniest seam there. Absolutely love Brian Nadeau's designs. Now, if you're not aware, the detent on this knife is not a detent ball like you're used to seeing on pretty much every other knife. There's a small nub built into the lock bar insert, and that actually acts as your detent. And guys, I've got to say, the detent on this knife is incredible. This may be the best detent I've ever felt. It's so crisp on the break. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's amazing. It really is probably the best detent I've ever felt. As you can see with that big flipper tab, the way it's designed, your finger just lays on it, boom, right through it. I am a lefty, and this action already, you can see, will definitely be drop shut. That's the thing about a Riot made knife. It does take a little bit of break in, but once it does break in, oh, it's just butter smooth. Just the littlest of shakes to get it down. The lock bar there, very, very smooth. You've got plenty of access, and it's actually the lock bar insert. It sticks out there. It's kind of interesting to act as an over travel stop, and also to grab onto it to disengage your lock bar. Another thing about Brian Nadeau's designs, they feel so good in hand. I mean, every edge on this knife is chamfered, and that's how it was on the Mini Tempest. That's how it is on the Apex. They're so good in hand. They really are. The ergonomics are fantastic. The detents are always crisp and solid. They're always nice and strong. So yeah, I was kind of wary of a flipper only knife. But I'm really digging this thing, guys. Oh, it's just so snappy. Now, you technically can fell this. If I bring my thumb around to do it, I can pop it to where it... But using my finger like you normally would, let's see if I can fell it. Yeah, you can fell it. Okay. But with really, you got to try to fell it. With the tiniest bit of effort, no issues at all. And you hear that sound, you get the sound of the detemp brake and then the lockup. So it's like 2 clicks there. So yeah, absolutely stunning pocket knife. There was a guy that commented, and he was like, oh, $50 more for the fat car, but I just think they're overpriced. And I commented and said, how so? Be specific. I'd really like to hear how this is overpriced. Riant made some of the best fit and finish out. This design is unreal. The materials are top tier. Fit and finish, about as good as it gets for a production knife. I want to know how it's overpriced. I really do. Where is he price gouging? Please tell me. Especially compared to some other knives that came out, like the Liang Ma Field Duty 3.5, just hit retailers. $540 for fat carbon. I was like, that's absurd. That's just absurd. Or Jake Hoback's new Quayback button lock, made by We Knife Co. $480. That's overpriced. This at $425, nah, it's solid. Very solid. One of the best designers out there, made by one of the best OEMs. Beautifully done. Oh, it's so good. Centering, spot on, absolutely spot on. And you can really tell because the seam right in the middle will show if it's off at all. But yeah, can you reverse flick it? I've done it once or twice if you really try. But you're kind of pushing the knife against the scale there, so I don't really like doing it too much. Let me see if I can get it here once. No. Yeah, you kind of can every once in a while, but it takes too much effort to do it. My big fat fingers can't really get down in there. But yeah, fantastic knife. If you're on the fence, I would suggest go ahead and pick it up. If you're like me, you're not big into flipper only, you're kind of a fidgeter, I would still recommend it. I don't know. It's just so good. I don't think it's one you want to miss out on. I do regret selling my Mini Tempest. I've obviously got my Apexes here. I've got this one, and any future drops, I'm going to pick them up and hang on to them. But anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel to see more knife content coming weekly. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.